So who's here? Committee, Sipke. That's it? No Zoltan? No Bertrand, no Ilan, no Nick, no Piotr? Okay, so let me write what we have. I think 11. Any demos today? Sipke, no demo? Benedek, do you know if Zoltan has a demo?
No, we don't have a demo, I think.
Nick was on the list last week, but he's not here yet. And he didn't give us the demo. Okay, so we'll start with the status. Any topic we need to discuss, talk about from the forum or that I missed? Last week we ended up on the defaults for the layout. We'll see if there is some more feedback. What else? Shipping. What's blocking? Shipping. There's been some talks also about the data access. I just want to check if there is some news. And that should be it. Okay. Let me check. So, status. Let's see what happened. Not that much. We'll see who was active. Just Sipke apparently. So Sipke is the only contributor to Orchard now. Projection fixes. Fixing independency. Yes, so this is because the layout was actually not working on Azure websites. Verbiage. Index properties. So Sipke working on the layout. And this is a new branch that we need to validate. Bring blueprint support for content part elements. Okay, so this branch is just about Sipke adding a new kind of media named VectorGraphics for SVG and other vector graphics, I assume. He also changed the default implementation for the MIME type provider. Because we are using now 4.5.1, there is a new class in ASP.NET which does that by default. So it just removed everything to rely on the default implementation in ASP.NET, which should do the same thing, but I assume with a better implementation. And he needed that to provide the SVG, by the way, because the SVG was not recognized by default in our setup. So we actually created a new factory because there is a new media type. Did you update the migration file? Vector, okay, this is okay, so looks good. So this is all the updates we've had. Wasn't working when deploying using release, but true to missing project dependencies. Vector image will be renamed. You mean it's not renamed yet in the code? Okay. Yeah, so I'm missing something. Still Sipke. Fixing issue, rendering attributes, and handling null from reference, same thing, dynamic forms. Maybe we can talk about it. Actually, I wanted so defaults for layout, responsive layout, breakpoints. So I will talk about this after. So let's talk about it because we have time. There has been a few updates on the code. I just want to check with the blocking bugs that we need to fix before shipping, because now we can talk about shipping. So let me see. Issues, issues active and high on 1.8.x first. A bunch of them. Invalid use of content manager at the projection part and other location. Yes, okay, so this one, let's see. Okay, so this one needs to be fixed. I agree, it should be easy to fix. And why did it lose my filter? And this one, there's a PR which has been accepted and is good to go, so this will be easy to fix. So let's see, back on 1. Oops, 7 are high, let me check. This one is easy to fix. Composition strategy should order built-in feature before other feature, we'll see. What is that? Update Azure libraries. Okay. Okay. I think Sipke, you've done that already. Remove name from content type definition builder. Let's close it. Features CSS oddities. Okay, maybe it has been fixed, we'll check. iTag catch, this is a new one, so the Redis implementation also needs to override the iTag catch. Otherwise, this is not replicated across tenants, across nodes, and is providing the implementation. We just need to check it and it should work. And next, and that's it. So shipping, blocking. So we have 2 on 1.8.x and 1.x we have 6. On top of that, there are some changes to do, which are good to go PRs. So we need to go over the PRs, and there must be like 10 to accept. And when it's done, we'll go on code freeze. This way, and I will send email to every, and if you're not in the discussion right now, I will send an email to every developer who has write access to to the repository, we'll merge the branches and maybe create another branch like integration, so that we are sure that no one is breaking anything. And if we want to fix some last minute bugs, we'll fix them on the integration branch. But it's clear that we don't want any new feature while we are in code freeze. And once we spent a week with these code freeze versions, 1.8.x and 1.x, then we can ship. But we need to do that right now to go into code freeze. Make sense?
Bastian, if we have a...
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just said that the integration branch is the good idea. So let's not play a code freeze because that's so old school. We can have the branch, so nobody will commit there.
If you have the integration branches, because we'll need one for 1.8.x and one for 1.x, then we don't care about code freeze. But on these branches, this will be code freeze, just last minute fixes, blocking fixes. Okay? Okay. So let me go back. Blah, 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 blah. What did I miss?
Hey Sebastian, it's Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Sipke asked me to join because he needed some. I was supposed to argue for something, but
you don't need to argue for him. It's fine. I'm fine with the change. I just explained the changes. You were not here, and I don't see anything blocking on that. So yeah, Daniel was here just to argue in favor of the vector image changes that is in the branch right now. I'm fine.
Okay. Sipke said it was about responsive layouts, not vector.
Oh, yes. Okay, so yes, if we need to talk about yes, I wanted to talk about responsive layout. I thought you would talk about vector image. Sorry. Yes, Zoltan, do you have anything against the vector image changes that Sipke pushed?
No.
Meaning you haven't checked that, or you're fine with that?
I've briefly checked them out.
So it's a new content type, a new media type, vector image, and is also updating the MIME type provider to use the ASP.NET 4.5.1 implementation.
Is there a specific reason why we have a different content type for that? I mean, not just the normal image type?
He explained that there are other properties like resizing behave different. There is no cropping for that.
Yeah, I had the same objection initially when he showed it to me, and I asked, well, why couldn't this just be the image with a different MIME type? But in truth, it's very different by nature in that it doesn't have any dimensions really. It doesn't have a width or a height. All it has pretty much is a relationship between width and height. So there's a proportion. But like Sebastian said, there's no way to really crop it or resize it or things because it doesn't have an inherent size.
Cool then.
Okay.
I do think it should be named vector image rather than VectorGraphic though, but I guess that's...
Sipke said he will change that.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, yes, so responsive layouts. Let me see if I can start. It just to show. And so the idea is that in the layout right now, the layout module, we can define a grid, which is fine, but this, so if you know Bootstrap, when we define a grid, it will look like something like, let's say I create a row. I can create a column in this row, so it's col dash, for instance, SM6. close it. Fine, because the sum here has to be 12 because the bootstrap grid is 12 columns. So what?
Correction there, it doesn't really have to be 12. Whatever doesn't fit in 12 wraps to the next row.
Okay, that's right. So here we define a row, and so as Daniel said, let's say we have another one. We'll overflow the row because it's just 12 and go below, but inside the row. So this says that, take it the other way around. When you define a grid in the layout module, you drag a row, and inside the row you say you want 2 columns, and you can divide it in 2. Oh, let me show it directly because now it should be working. I hear beeps. You can define offset as well. Yes. 12 seems the standard. Yes, you can redefine Bootstrap grid system and have more columns, but this is blah blah blah. Okay. So I go there, and let's say I create a new page with layout. I have a row, and I can add columns. Okay, so here, if I have a Bootstrap theme and it's compatible with the layout module, it will create a row class, and inside 2 divs with whatever today we want. For instance, it could be call SM6, call SM6. One could say, I don't want call SM6, I want call XD6. Okay? Or
do you mean XS?
Oh, sorry. XS and others. So what in Bootstrap this means? It means it will take 6 cells. I will call it cells. Do I call it calls? It will spread across 6 columns if my screen is bigger than the small breakpoint. So just that we are all on the same page, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. When I have a browser like this, Bootstrap will define breakpoints in terms of pixels for the browser. So when I'm in full mode, the breakpoint will be, for instance, well, let's say a breakpoint is 1000 pixels, and it defines the large size. So every time my browser is bigger than 1000 pixels, it will say you are in the large mode. If I am between 700 and 1000, maybe it will say you are in the medium mode, and then the small mode, and then the extra small mode. Okay, and these are breakpoints. Breakpoints are the number of pixels to switch from one mode to another one. These are configurable, but Bootstrap has some defaults. And what it says here is that this div will span on 6 cells if we are in the small mode. Or we could say call XS12, call SM6. This way, we actually say if we are in the extra small mode, it takes 12 columns, which means the full row.
But Sebastian, the new attribute that you just added, the new class, that's an implicit. It's always 12 columns below any specified breakpoint if you don't add anything specific.
Then that's fine.
Yeah.
For example. Okay. So if I'm in an extra small window, this one will take 10 and this one will take 2. And then if I switch to another breakpoint and it goes to the small, then it will go to 6 and 6. And you can define for each of the cells how they behave for each of the breakpoints. How do you call it? How should we call it? Because when we say a responsive layout, yeah, that's a responsive layout. But it's even if I just say that, called SM6, it will be responsive. By defining other classes, you can actually define exactly how each div will be represented in the different mods, breakpoints. So if I go back to my example, and we define that, a default logic per theme will define what a call is, how it is represented in the final HTML. So we could say, hey, it just call SM6 or call XS6 or whatever. But by doing that, we just define one layout for one specific breakpoint, actually. It will work in everything, but you can't define explicitly how it looks like in other breakpoints. Does it make sense?
Yep.
So the question is, how and should we support breakpoints in the layout? We could say we don't care right now. We can do it later. And I'm fine with that. I'm not sure we have time to do anything. But yeah, so this answers the should, and the question will be how. How can we support that?
Okay, so can I chime in? So we discussed this a couple of days ago, me and Sipke, when we were building our website. And at first, we threw around a couple of different options for this. One would be that you would have like a drop-down list in the layouts editor, where you would select first for which breakpoint are you editing the layout, and then you could kind of switch between those modes and specify different column layouts for all of them. And that has, we quickly realized that has some challenges. First of all, some things you can edit, but they're global to all layouts, such as the content of a cell, for example, and some should only be like specific to the layout that you're editing. That's one tricky thing. The other is that really the number of breakpoints and the set of breakpoints that you have is really defined by whatever responsive framework that you're targeting in your theme. So it's really up to the theme to define how many breakpoints there are and what they are. And if we're going to support that and surface that in the UI of the layouts module, then we somehow need to communicate that back from the theme. And that ended up like being, okay, that this is too much of an impact, it's too big of a thing, so let's rethink it. And when I thought about it, I'm leaning towards another approach. I think that it should actually be up to the theme to specify what a column means, because it depends on what you're targeting. Are you even making a responsive website? Are you even making a responsive theme? You may have a situation where you're selecting themes at runtime based on different devices or different circumstances of the request. So it's not easy to know at edit time if there are even going to be any responsiveness to your output, because it could vary. So my thinking is that this should not actually be surfaced in the layouts module. The layouts module should be free of concerns of responsiveness. What you should edit when you're editing the layout graphically is for the widest case supported by the theme or defined by the theme. So if you make a theme and you target Bootstrap and you decide that, okay, for anything above the breakpoint medium, this is going to be full width, then that's the case you're editing when you're editing the layout. And if you want to do some responsiveness for widths below that breakpoint, then it's up to the theme to define. And that has the additional advantage that we don't really have to do anything right now. It's supported like as it is in the layouts module. Another good thing about it is that you don't have to override the shape templates for the row or the column, because Bootstrap has pretty neat mix-ins for that. So you could just target the existing classes that are rendered by the built-in templates and just redefine what they mean in Bootstrap terms by use of a mix-in. So there's also a nice detail to it. But like philosophically, I'm leaning towards this should not be exposed in the layouts module because it should be simple and approachable enough to editors of a site that don't necessarily know anything about responsiveness.
Okay, so I like the argument that it's about the theme, so it can't be in the admin, for sure. Otherwise, the theme will leak in the admin. That's not good. Also, another argument would be that we can always, I assume, define custom CSS class. So if one knows he's using Bootstrap and wants to do, I want to do a call XS2 in this case, knowing that the theme is targeting just large or medium, and will define specific for XS, we can still do that. We are not blocked, and I think it's very good not to be blocked, because we can't tell a customer, no, there is no way to do that. Sorry, it's better to have a bad way to do it, and you can unblock a customer, than not being able to do that. So that's pretty good. We can also define IDs, and then using less files, just target same thing. Use a mixin in our CSS to say, this ID will be done this way, or maybe use different classes, which are agnostic from the theme. That's what you're saying.
And this thing that you just did, added a class, that's exactly what we ended up doing to support a lower breakpoint.
Yep. Another solution, So when you say drop downs, you meant breakpoints drop downs. Yeah. So this could be like some contextual metadata that the theme could take into account or not, like define breakpoints, logical breakpoints, call them small, medium, large, extra small, and just be able to define the size of that. So we will just edit the layout like this. We'll see 6 and 6 here. This is the default one, but maybe we could be able to say, this is an option, but maybe we don't want to do it right now. We have time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So what does anyone else to say? Design the grid for specific breakpoint. So do we call them form factors? And breakpoint is a number. Maybe the form factor is I don't know.
Let me see what Bootstrap calls them.
So, James Sanders, you're saying, how about just a simple class attribute rather than trying to restrict the user some kind of responsive theme? So did my explanation answer your question with the class attribute we have? So breakpoints is a number, like 780, but the layout, the small layout or the
viewport sizes, the Bootstrap call them.
Okay.
Oh, actually breakpoints, they call them breakpoints too.
Okay, cool. Question for you, Daniel, and Sipke maybe, about the new website. So, as you might have seen on Twitter, let's open Twitter. So. Sipke new iDeliverable website. Looks like the old website to me.
Yeah, except it's now running on Orchard. Before it was just static HTML.
Oh, I didn't remember that. And and are you using the layout module then?
Yes, we are.
Cool. With the Bootstrap theme?
Yes.
Your own or Philips one?
No, our own. And if you go to one thing that's new is the blog section in the menu. If you click it, we have.
Nobody wants to read you. That's fine.
Of course.
So here, which viewport did you use? Did you target?
I believe it is MD.
MD, you see, I'm here like 700 pixels. Above that, I see your layout, 3 columns. Below that, it's using the defaults, which are 12 for everything.
Yep. And the blog's layout is even more advanced. That has actually 3 breakpoints.
How did you handle that then?
Using mixins.
Okay, so you just define in your theme that for the blog. Okay, I see what you did. So you targeted a specific class for the blog, like maybe blog. There must be a class inside that.
Yeah, we have we have IDs on these big containers, and then we use mixins to start to specify their layouts.
So if I go down, MD, now there is a new layout.
Yeah, there should be two columns.
Go down SM, I have 1 layout. Actually, it should be the same for XS.
Yeah. Yeah, below MD we don't differentiate anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. If I'm on a tablet like this, I see portrait mode, fine. Okay, cool. Great. Cool. It's on Azure website?
It is, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, that's good feedback. Anyone has any question about that? Very nice from Philippe. Yeah.
Sipke, that's not the first time you've heard that, is it? That your avatar has more hair than you.
I didn't see that. As long as you can add more than one specific class, something. Yes, you can. Yes, you saw that. I went into the settings of the cell, and I could define the class. Yep. Okay, that looks good then. I like it. And tomorrow, hopefully, there should be another website using the layout. So if everything goes well, a new actually Microsoft website using your layout stuff, which is not even yet shipped, should be up and running on Azure websites. So we'll see. It's a good one. Okay. So that was a good discussion and answering. So the conclusion is that leave it as is. Theme user theme responsibility. Okay, cool. Shipping, we talked about it. So if anyone wants to fix all the high blocking issues on 1.8x and 1x, please do so as soon as they are fixed, and they are easily fixable. Then we can code freeze and ship an RC or a beta, whatever you want to call it. Defaults for layout. Anyone has something else to say from last week?
Is this as far as what happens if you turn on layouts and get rid of the body part?
Yes.
I had suggested at the end of the conversation that if we do that, you take whatever is in the body part and drop it into a single field on the layouts.
Okay,
so I import all of your, if you had stuff in your body part.
I'm not talking about that, actually. Yes and no. So I was suggesting that we do that for new websites only. Then there is nothing to export or to import or to change.
But what if you turn it on in the middle?
No,
you update the build and you turn it on.
So if you turn in. So for an update, we would add the layout part to the page content type. The page content type. Okay. So the body part will still be here. It will still work, and you have a layout. So it won't break anything for an update. And when I say anything, just the page content type. Okay. So if you are using the page content type and you have created a bunch of pages, then it's fine. The layout will be there on top of that, but the body part is still here.
So you have two? You have
Now,
both?
well, now you have the layout. You can put anything you want inside.
So then you just have to manually migrate from one to the other.
There is nothing to migrate.
Well, but what if I want to get rid of the body part and just use the layout?
Then remove the body part.
But what about all the stuff in there?
No, I mean, if there is an update, we don't want to break you. You get the new layout, and you can add stuff in the layout if you want, but the body part will still be rendered. If you want for each page to switch from the body part to the layout, to switch the content to the layout, then you copy paste it from the body part and you place it into the layout. If you think that the update should migrate, or maybe there could be an optional migration or upgrade feature which takes all the body parts from the page content items and put them in the layout and remove the body part. That could be an optional thing if some people want that.
We might want that.
Okay.
We have some sites that have a lot of content. I guess it would be nice to offer the option.
This means that you want to migrate to layout and really migrate to layout and forget about the body part. And again, just for the page content type, because this is the only one we will attach the layout part to automatically. My other suggestion was, for a new website, we actually start with it by default. No body part on the page content type. All the other content types will keep the body part if they have it. And again, just for the page content type, we replace the body part by a layout part by default. So a page on a new website will be a layouted page. This is totally non.
Sounds good to me. Anyone else?
So second option looks good. First option, to go back on your requirement, George. Sipke, can you confirm that if we enable layout part on the page which has a body part, the body part will still be rendered? Maybe we've done something. Yes. Okay. Okay, so you see that will work. We don't break anyone. And Sipke ensured that if we have a layout part and it has nothing, then nothing is rendered in HTML. Absolutely nothing. So it won't break any website. Okay, so we could do that. We could have. So the story is, if we ship today with this ID, a website which upgrades to 1.9 won't have the layout enabled by default. If the layout module is enabled, then the layout part will be added to the page content type. And nothing will be broken. It's just that there is a new layout part in the page content type. We can provide an upgrade task so that we could migrate the body parts to the layout. So if people really want to migrate all their pages content items, their page content items to the layout and remove the body part, it will be doable. Yep. So. Layout is not enabled by default. Okay. End. So if it migrates it to the layout part, I will suggest as an HTML element. The other option being we could add the body part element inside the layout and keep the body part. This is an option. Be done. Just to answer script or AG, tokens work in the body part since 1.x, and there is a feature for that you need to enable. Oh, correct. Thank you. Yes, this was part of the last afternoon of the Harvest conference. Let me re-ask the question. If we have an upgrade task, which would be optional, to migrate the body part to the layout part in the page items, should we actually copy the content of the body part into a new HTML element, or leave the body part and place a body part element inside the layout? Semantically, there are two different things. In the end, it's almost the same. It might be cleaner to remove the body part because then it will be in the same state as the new websites will be. So I'll keep it this way unless someone complains. The latter.
The second one, if somebody wants to migrate, then migration, in my opinion, means that they want to leave body part, not just add body part to pages.
What?
Content. So, in my opinion, the real migration, so if somebody wants to run a migration, an explicit migration, then they want to swap out the body part with layout. So
Like
the second option run.
So this one I'm explaining here, I just have written this one.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Sipke also agrees. Great. Cool, that sounds good. Have anyone tried the Umbraco new features? I've read on the tweets they have something called a grid. I don't know what it means. Did anyone look at it? Maybe I should ask on an Umbraco forum or look at some videos. Just want to know if you... Well... Is anyone from Umbraco in the meeting room? Every Umbraco user here now can confess. Yeah, you can, that's fine. There are lots of people right now here in the room who are not just using Orchard. Okay, cool, we have no feedback. That would be good to know what they're doing. I know they have released a new forms module and a new grid module. Just like us. Oh, sorry, just like Sipke. Yeah. Cool, that's good. So, what I'm missing, team effort. Yes, that's a team effort from you. Thank you. Let's look at the log. The team effort is Sipke to Sipke. We have Lambic, fortunately, and some PRs. Good. What else? What did I have on my list? Shipping, data access. Zoltan, do you have any news on the data access forum? Say, complain about, talk about. Oh yes, I actually saw a comment from you or Christian about the reason of the forum. My ID was not for 2.0, but for 1.x. Because 2.0 is a completely different discussion. But maybe you've just talked about the 2.0 solution, which can be also about removing SQL completely or not. Yeah, I was just wondering about the 1.x long term, not thinking 2.0 actually. But
and what do you have in mind for that? Because my understanding was that such a fundamental or more breaking and invasive data access changes should all go to.
I was not even talking about non-breaking. I was just thinking about adding yet another API.
I see.
So that we are not breaking anything. We can migrate our code with a new API if it's better, faster, and everything, time by time, piece by piece. But yeah, it was just about what could we add in the current, and that's what Umbraco did actually. That's why I explained it this way. Umbraco did that. They've had. I'm not sure they were using an NHibernate on their ORM, but they also integrated Petapoco, I assume, as a new API, and they're just using that for the new stuff they're creating or migrating the old stuff to Petapoco, but the old API is still there. That's what I was suggesting.
So we could basically create a completely new API that just works side by side?
Yes.
Well, given that is compatible, so for example, we are sticking with NHibernate and not opening two database connections to the same database.
No, yes, we could reuse a connection from NHibernate, for instance. Yeah. And have an API to do SQL over this connection. It's not HQL, it's not Link. Link is still there from NHibernate. HQL is still there from NHibernate, but yeah, we could have something maybe better, faster. There are some issues like identity management. Sorry. Reference management as in identity map. Yeah, just that was my idea. Just to provide don't wait for 2.0 version to solve the issue or to provide better API. And this could be also the same thing in the next version. I know. That's just to clarify the discussion on the forum. Yep.
Okay, then I think that most of the ideas thrown in there are still relevant because they would be possible to run side by side with the current implementation.
Yep. So you mentioned, who mentioned that? Maybe you, the dynamic SQL object model project in Codeplex, which can abstract the. So EF is not yet an option. If we are talking about 1.x, EF is absolutely not an option. We won't add a new API using an ORM, and we already have an ORM. That doesn't make sense. We could have a low-level new API, which lets you do anything you want in SQL. It's easy to write SQL. And the goal will be to make it fast and non-blocking API. Link is kind of blocking, is a lot blocking actually, and it's not fast because there are concessions done on the SQL which is generated. Repository is blocking. HQL is almost non-blocking, but is a performance issue because it goes through the NHibernate materialization pipeline, so it's slow. So yeah, so EF will have the same issues right now as NHibernate. 2.0 is a different discussion. We could be open to reusing NHibernate, to using anti-framework, the new one, the old one, using something completely different, no SQL, even though I think we should stick to SQL. So yeah, there are two different discussions. Or no, sorry, Kelly. One thing for sure we know is that we won't use RavenDB. You can ask why. Waiting. Okay, so okay, joking. Yes, so we won't use RavenDB. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so just to clarify the forum discussion about the goals of the discussion. Anything else? Questions about anything? Form like today. Yes, I like the hybrid form. I like my personal opinion is we should stick to SQL because SQL is everywhere, is known by everyone. There are some awesome client tooling to manage SQL. We have DBAs who know SQL, it's well known. And still we can use SQL to do document storage. SQL is just a storage mechanism, it's transactional. It works everywhere, it's free, you can pay for it if you want. You have support, we have tools, you have reporting tools, so SQL is awesome, and we can still store database. For those who don't know, just look for SQL on internet and you will see what we can do, and it can be enhanced for everything else. Also it offloads, yeah, it's a server, it can also be a server, so we can have it as a server and a separate service, and we can also have it embedded using SQLite, so that SQL is awesome. And you can and we can do everything that object databases, or sorry, NoSQL databases offer in SQL. I'm telling you. So what we are doing today with Infosets, we can use SQL as a document store and still do map reduce and still do projection and create tables with specific indexes, and yeah. So that's the idea. So Sergio, so if we talk about the V1, the new API, it's to improve read access and materialization of objects. Materialization is when you select some records for a database and they represent objects, then someone has to create C# objects from that. And in NHibernate it's very slow. You know, you're using reflection or dynamic CIL generation, whatever technique you use, materialization is very slow in NHibernate. And it also has change tracking, for instance, by default, and that's what we use. So it also adds some overhead. So the idea is to use a simpler API so this is for fast access first, and also none to be blocked by the query mechanism provided by NHibernate. If you want to do a fast query which returns some real objects, you can't do that in NHibernate. You can use SQL, but then you pay for the materialization price. So this is faster and non-blocking requests. People are complaining about it today. This is for the V1 target. For the V2 target, everything is open. We can rethink about everything. For performance, for simplicity, for everything. So yeah, okay, good. So anything else before we close the meeting? Just an update on what we did on Thursday. We tried to use Google Hangouts. It didn't work well, meaning that I tried to start the meeting using Chrome and it blue screen my computer 2 times, so I used Firefox, and then when we tried to start the meeting, YouTube was down for maintenance, so we could not start the meeting. So we used the link. So next Thursday we'll try again to use Google Hangouts. Okay, that's it. And if it works, then we'll maybe do the main meeting. The room. Oh, if you want to know the Google Hangouts link, just connect to this room on Thursday, and I publish a link to to the Hangouts. This is what I did last week. Okay, that's it. Thanks everyone for joining us. See you on Thursday or next week.
Bye bye.
Bye everyone.